Morena, welcome to International Women's Day interviews, and it's the continuation of RISE2025, celebrating everything about being wahine, being woman, and really continuing the conversation about International Women's Day and how we can continue to celebrate. So this morning I'm really excited because this wahine has just returned from an amazing event in her life. And I'd love to welcome Precious Clark, who's here with me this morning. Morena, Precious.
Morena, Rachel.
Welcome back to Aotearoa. And you've just had an amazing life event. Do you just want to explain where you've been?
Yeah, I've been in the Cook Islands in Rarotonga getting married to the love of my life, Mr. Numa Mackenzie, and we had a wonderful, joyous and magical wedding celebration with many of our friends and families who travelled from around the world to join us in our day of union, and we're just basking in the glow.
And you're still glowing, and and we were able to, bask in your joyous occasion through the beauty of technology through Facebook. So thank you for letting us enjoy. And this morning is really using the technology. This technology is allowing us to have conversations globally around, what is International Women's Day? What does it stand for us as women? Depending on, and men, and depending on what society, what cultural context we come from, it means different things to different people. So the question that I wanted to ask you first and foremost is first to give your beautiful mihi and your introduction about who you are and where you come from, Precious.
Kia ora, kia ora. Nei rā te mihi atu ki a koutou, ko tēnei wahine he uri no Ngāti Whatua, no reira I hoi mai aku tūpuna marunga I te waka māhuhu ki te rangi, ko wai te mata te moana, ko maunga kie te maunga, ko Ngāti Whatua te iwi, ko te tau, te urungutu me ngā oho o ku hapu, ko ora kei tōku marae, ko tumutumu whenua taku whare tūpuna. Ko hau te mokopuna erueni rawa ko Piu Piu Hawk I te taha o tōku māma. Ko hau te mokopuna Ivy May rawa ko George Martin Clark I te taha o tōku pāpā. Ko hau te tamāhine a patu rawa ko Nobby Clark, ko Precious Clark tōku ingoa. Ko hau te hoa wahine a Numa Mackenzie, ko Taiaria Mackenzie, tō māua tamāhine. So for those who don't speak Māori, I opened with my whakapapa, which is my genealogical recital, stating that my ancestors traversed the Great Pacific Ocean on board a canoe called Māhuhu ki te rangi. My waterway is called the Waitemata Harbour, which is in Auckland. My prominent mountain is called Maunga Kia, made famous by U2 in their song One Tree Hill. My marae, my place of standing is Orake, and the name of my ancestral meeting house where we gather for family events is called Tumutumu Whenua, named after an eponymous ancestor. I'm the granddaughter of two amazing people on my mother's side called Eruini and Piu Piu Hawk, and on my father's side, George Martin and Ivy May Clark, and I'm the proud daughter of Patu and Nobby Clark. And I'm the wife of Numa Mackenzie, and I'm the mother of my beautiful 2.5-year-old Taiaria Mackenzie.
Beautiful. Kia ora, Precious. And also, your parents have just recently married, and I think that is beautiful as well.
42-year engagement, and they finally decide to get married, and again that was a joyous occasion. It was a comedy act. Yes. They're hilarious.
Yeah. But they obviously had maybe your wedding has really sparked something in your whānau.
I'm going to have to pause because I've got a delivery.
Okay, go get your delivery. I will carry on the korero because this is what technology is all about. And so what we have this morning is real life footage of how you need to adapt and change as wahine, as women. And just to explain, Precious is always with us in terms of her aroha and her presence, just not in those few seconds. So kei te pai.
He's delivering a tent. We're going camping this weekend and I had to buy a new tent. So sorry, it's just being put in my house. So I'll run and close. Can you close the door on your way out, please? Thank you very much.
Beautiful. That's all. That is the beauty of technology. We can just carry on. So, Precious, we wanted to really talk about who has inspired you as woman, as wahine. I know you have a long list, I can imagine, but who comes to mind for you?
You're right. There is a long list. There are so many. I think of my mother, and what she taught me was generosity and love of family. I think of one of my mentors, Kate Cherrington, who teaches me the importance of values-based life and holding on to integrity, particularly through adversity. I think of my coach, Sandy Burgum, who teaches and encourages me to think and play big and back myself. And I think of my cousin Rangimari Ehunia, who is just so intelligent, so amazing, and so humble. But the woman that I would like to celebrate today is actually one of my girlfriends, one of my mentors. She's one of my Pacific sisters, and her name is Rosanna Raymond. And to call Rosanna Raymond an artist is to not describe her in her fullest essence. The things that I love, adore, and admire in Rosanna is in everything she does, she builds community. And she always takes people on a journey with her. She never ever does anything alone. And in that building of community, what she always does and what she always manages to achieve is to create opportunity for others. So if I think there's a myriad of examples that I can use, but two that pop to mind is I met Rosanna when I moved to London, and she was doing a performance. She had this gig and she said to me, hey, do you write any of your own songs? And I said, actually, yeah, I've got a couple. And she said, why don't you come and perform at my gig? And so she catapulted me into a performance element, into a performance platform that I didn't think I could take up. She saw something in me before I did. And from there, I developed the band, and I had a whole lot of gigs all throughout London, and I started to express a different side of myself. So I have a legal background, and I was very much entrenched in a legal world, a Māori development world, a quasi-political world, and she pulled the performance, the creative pressure out of myself. And so that's just one of the opportunities that Rosanna created. And last year she was invited to participate in the Asia Pacific Triennia held in Brisbane at the GOMA, the Queensland Gallery of Modern Art. And this was a big deal. And they asked Rosanna Raymond to come and be an artist in that show. And she said, sure, but I bring a crew. She took 20. And we are called the Savage Club. And I'm honoured to be a founding member, but she pushed the envelope so that more Pacific artists could participate in this forum. And she does that every day, 24 hours, 365 days of the year. She's continuously creating opportunity. The other thing she does is she encourages creativity, and she nurtures creativity, and she challenges you to bring your creativity and allows you to explore your own cultural practice and your own cultural integrity. And she's a role model for many aspiring spoken word artists, graphic artists, performance-based artists. She really is the big deal. And so I want to acknowledge my Pacific sister, my mentor, Rosanna Raymond.
Oh, beautiful, Precious. And I know Rosanna. And I would echo everything that you've said. She, whether she is in London or she's in Europe or in Australia, she is bringing communities together. And actually, that's a really good point, because I think as I'm working now back in Aotearoa, I'm really noticing, and even abroad actually, is that when we bring collectives together for a purpose, and I think women are very good at this, the manaki, the support, the aroha that you are able to give to others is so much more rewarding than just self. So what's your experience in bringing collectives together, and how does that really support us as women?
Yeah, I'm thinking of to a time when I was working as a consultant in a male-dominated environment. I still work in a male-dominated environment, but then it kind of came to its apex, and the importance of a collective feminine energy revealed itself to me. So we had a wānanga, which is when we go into intensive learning at my marae, my ancestral meeting house, and it was a rāranga wānanga, which is we were weaving mats, so that when people came into our marae, particularly when we hosted tangi, when we hosted our dead, we had specific mats for their bodies to lay on so that we could grieve, and there was no transgression of tapu, sacredness, and nor state of normality. And it was a female energy. And I think there were about 30 of us all weaving together, not only weaving the flax fibers, but weaving each other to each other, weaving collective stories. And it was healing. And I really, at that time in my life, I really needed that kind of collective energy. So in terms of the relevance and the importance of collective energy, particularly for women, it has a healing undertone that isn't often spoken about. But more generally, that collective approach to progress, collective approach to development it's vital. And when you unite, when you have collective minds for a core purpose, a kaupapa, it's pretty unstoppable. There's a whole lot of examples. I'm struggling to just pick one out of the air, but the value of it cannot be underestimated. And also, when you have that collective power, you can't actually foresee the magic and the outcomes, because you can't foresee what other magic other people will contribute, and therefore what the end product is. I guess a good example is currently there is a program called Uru Tapu. It is a program that is about helping our young Māori women catapult their progress, their development, to become the leaders that we as Māori people, as New Zealand society, need to see in the next 20, 40 years. So that has been a massive collective effort. So the way that came about is what used to be called ASB Community Trust, now called Foundation North, had set aside $1 million to invest in Māori and Pacific education initiatives. $1 million was set aside for girls' leadership, Māori girls' leadership. And I'm on the board of Foundation North, and we had some conversations around how best to utilise that fund. And there were some thoughts that maybe it should replicate an existing program, which was really about helping Māori and Pacific achieve within a mainstream structure. And I said, no, I don't think that's the right approach, actually. If I project out 20 to 40 years, the type of leadership that we need within Māori society certainly is someone who's educated. It certainly is someone who has good networks within community, but I believe it certainly is a Māori woman who has that cultural strength, who is based in and entrenched and has derived strength from ancestors, from ancestresses, from a sense of knowing and a sense of belonging. So we pulled together a reference group of amazing Māori women to help guide us through this process to determine what will this program look like. And in the end, we decided on the age group that we thought was important to target, and it was that transition zone. So between high school and adulthood, so whether you're moving into employment or moving into university or motherhood, we deemed that transition stage was pivotal because it's a influential time in a person's life, and it's a time where, you know, the state can assume they don't have any responsibility anymore, so it's really easy to get lost. So we wanted this to pick up people. We also deemed it was important to focus on front runners, focus on excellence, because we have a lot of programs in New Zealand that are targeted and focused towards those who are in a state of need.
Yeah.
And we also deemed it needed to build an alumni, a strong alumni, because these cohorts of young Māori women, as they progress, they're going to look to each other to support one another. And they will find that when they're in their mid-30s, they are going to be in positions of influence. And if they can have a trusting relationship with one another, they can go to each other to form new collaborations, new relationships, and, you know, check each other for advice or for correction. So those are some of the elements that we pulled and deemed that were absolutely necessary. And we went to the community and said, this is what we think the tenets of a program need to look like. What do you think you would like to deliver? And so we had a number of applications, and the successful application came from Mad Av, who was fronted by Vishane Patuawa and her husband Tamati Patuawa. And I tell you what, when they walked in and they gave their presentation, it was like they had sat in the reference group with us. Everything they said was a touchstone on the vision of the collective. So our participation as a collective doesn't end with the funding, it continues. So, you know, Vishane and I are in correspondence around how do we get some partners on board, how do we disseminate this information, please use your networks. And I'm so excited to see this first cohort where these young women find themselves in 10, 15 years. It just excites me. And that was the power of collective.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I tautoko and support everything that Uru Tapu stands for. And I've watched the video, I've shared with my friends in the US, and they've watched it and they've been like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
It's exciting. You know, we know we're at the beginning of something that is really going to shift society and shift the outcomes for Māori.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with RISE2025, you know, if we think about a tuakana model, yeah, we're there as well to awhi and support these women coming through. So I've connected with Visha and said, you know, when you're ready, let us know.
Perfect, because I think I've had this conversation with you. You were one of the people who I wanted her to meet.
Yeah, already there. We're already connected.
Apai.
So on the, you know, and those are beautiful examples of collectivism, and also how that feminine energy, as you say, actually brings about a totally different environments and really thinking and thought leadership, which I love being part of those sorts of environments. And then we move to how are we going to be the change? And I think your example of Uru Tapu is exactly one of those, where you're leading, you know, reference groups to support these rōpus. What else? What else would you like to commit to, Precious, in terms of changing the conversation around gender parity or gender equality? What else is really key for you?
Yeah, well, my current role is that I'm a professional director, so I'm on 6 different boards. And when you're a woman, it's lonely. When you're a Māori woman, it's lonelier. When you're a young Māori woman who's under 40, it is very, very lonely. And it doesn't need to be, because all of those things I mentioned, being a woman, being a Māori woman, being a young Māori woman, they all add value to the decision-making process. And without that diversity of thought, without that diversity of approach and a braveness to try different things, you're just not likely to get the best decisions. There is you know, paramount evidence which says that women involved in decision-making processes adds to the bottom line of business, of companies. And so those are the kinds of things that are important to me, getting more people who look like me into positions like me. And just, yesterday. I'm the chair of the Taumata Iwi, which is the Māori Advisory Board to the Auckland Museum. And yesterday we opened a Treaty of Waitangi exhibition, which tells uniquely the stories of Auckland, the treaty and its relevance to the Auckland landscape. And it's a trailer to a 90-minute feature film, basically. It's just a small exhibition that will grow over time. And there were 5 speakers, and I was the only woman. And I was proud to hold that mantle. And I was proud that it was 2 days after International Women's Day that was celebrated. And I acknowledged that, and I acknowledged the women who have, you know, carved a path for someone like me to be a chairperson in an institution like that. But, you know, it's lonely. I don't have, why is it that there's only one woman speaking out of 5 speakers? Because in New Zealand, we make up 51% of the population.
We do.
You know,
we do.
There's a misalignment there.
Yeah.
So I'm passionate about getting Māori women into leadership roles, and in particular into governance roles. And the way that I choose to champion that is really, the first thing is to prove your worth when you get there. You have to show and you have to prove that having young Māori woman, Māori, on boards adds value. And if you're not doing that, then maybe you should move over. The other part is it's really important to hold space and create space. And, you know, the statistics around women on boards in New Zealand, they're very, very small numbers. And actually, when you look at the data, those numbers are even smaller because they're mostly held by the same people. So you have to make space for other women to come through. If your intention is that you believe that women and Māori women and young Māori women add value, then you have to create space for those kind of people to come through. So not to blow my own trumpet, but to use this as an example of what and how other people may think about this. There have been a couple of positions on boards where people have approached me to take them, and rather than put myself in them, I've advocated strongly for other young Māori women to take those roles. And you know what? They're flourishing and they're adding value. Those women are kicking butt in those roles. So it's really important that you don't allow your ego to overcome you, and that you hold space and you create that space. Another example is I've been asked to give a presentation at an upcoming leadership summit in Auckland in June. And they can't pay me, and that's okay. So what I'm pushing is, well, can you create space for me to bring 2 of my tribal members who are on a leadership journey to come and attend free of charge in place of paying me? Because those young women won't otherwise have that opportunity. So, you know, it's been a little bit courageous about asking the question, but also thinking about others who are on leadership journeys and creating space and holding space and giving them opportunity. And, you know, all of those women who I spoke about that I admire, they all do this on a daily basis, and I'm just replicating the leadership that I have from them.
And so, it's about other women rising with us. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Because, you know, being lonely is hard and it's not fun. It's way more fun when you have a comrade.
Absolutely.
When you have, you know, someone to rack things up with.
And I know you've supported one of my good friends, Meta Kingi, in her journey in a board role. And I know that she is really flourishing from that board role with Watercare.
Absolutely. And I hope Mary watches this, because Mary doubted herself, but no one else did. She's got the goods, and I can't wait to see where she progresses to next, because she's on a trajectory.
Yeah, she is. And so
championing is, and it's something that I've become more aware of now that I'm a mother, is being a conscious mother.
Yes.
And being a mother who thinks about what's important, what are the priorities, and putting those priorities at the forefront. So te reo Māori, having my daughter learn and speak te reo Māori is really important to me. So in the home, I speak about 90% te reo Māori with her. and around her. And so I'm being really conscious about that. And prior to my daughter coming along, I was an advocate of Te Reo Māori, but I lacked confidence to speak it publicly. Now having my daughter, if I don't live the value, then she won't live the value. So I'm really conscious about making an effort to speak Te Reo with my daughter. And as it happens, it's now her first language. It's her first means of communication with any adult. She does know who can't speak Māori, so she will flip into English. But it's that consciousness of raising your children to be the change that needs to occur within your society, and raising her to have an opinion, as hard as that may be in a 2.5-year-old, raising her to stick up for herself. You know, these are things that I'm consciously doing with my daughter.
Beautiful. And those are, and it starts from whānau, it starts from family. Yeah?
Yeah. And I firmly believe that, because I have a number of friends and their kids are in kohanga just like mine is. So that's a preschool where they only focus on Te Reo Māori language learning. But their kids aren't speaking Māori, and I do question, is it because at home they're not speaking Māori, so it's not in every aspect of their world, it's not in every environment. And I've noticed that with Taiaria, my daughter, she does speak Māori, and the only thing that is different that I can see is our home environment is forces encourage a Te Reo Māori learning environment. And my reo is not excellent. I'm evolving, I'm learning, but I don't care. Sometimes I just have to make things up and provide context instead of the word.
Yes.
But hey, we'll get there.
We'll get there. And actually, through your way of learning, coming back to Aotearoa, and I remember you said something to me when we were at Orake Marae, which was, you know, I korero Māori with my daughter, and, you know, I don't care if I get it wrong, you know, but it's in the practice. And I've been more conscious of that because of that conversation.
Yes. Yeah. And a go, Rachel. Kia ora.
So I am about to go into a tutoring, as I explained to you, with the person that I spoke to you about. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, yay.
Yeah. And so, you know, we are in this world of, and you and I actually in the corporate, and we're in our iwi environment, and you know, I know that the kaupapa behind what you do, who you champion in terms of women, in terms of girls, with the new project that's going on, will continue in everything that you do. Is there a last message that you'd like to leave, Precious, for our wahine?
Oh, yeah, it's just around that question of equality and some of the thinking that has been, you know, tossing around in my mind. Because one of the boards I'm on is a philanthropic funder, and we're a significant funder in the Auckland and Northland area. And when I was thinking about pay parity in terms of pay, the pay divide, the pay gap between male and female, you know, in New Zealand, of the New Zealand top 100 listed companies, only 5 women are CEs, chief executives, and that's an abysmal statistic. But what we do find is that there are a lot of female CEs, but they're in the not-for-profit sector. And the not-for-profit sector has a cap on pay. So, you know, you can only rise so far in the not-for-profit sector in terms of what you're entitled to in pay. And so when we look at pay parity, there's also a significant divide across industries and across sectors. But I guess one of the things I'm really interested in exploring further is what is the role of philanthropy and what is the role of funders in closing that gap around pay parity and that pay divide? I don't have the answers. And when I've put it on my board table, a response I got was, that's a political issue, we don't delve there. But just because someone puts a wall up doesn't mean you stop having a conversation, right? You just go, well, let's have another angle. Yeah. So I guess I'm really interested in exploring that, because if that's where most women CEs find themselves, then, you know, what can be done to kind of tweak at least tweak the edges around that. The other thing that I've lost my train of thought. That will do.
And that's a big piece anyway. Even that piece, just to have continued conversations, I think is going to add huge value.
I've remembered the other one. So I'm also quite involved in the Māori legal fraternity. So my background is in law. Last year we have an annual conference and it is amazing. And last year we had a conference and we had an amazing panel of which I was really privileged to be a part of, along with the likes of Judge Karen Whitcliffe, who was just amazing. And so I put some of these issues to our institution, Te Hungaroia Māori o Aotearoa, which is the Māori Lawyers Network, Māori Lawyers Association, around if we are not recognising and advocating for our Māori women to advance into leadership roles within the legal fraternity, whose cultural paradigms are we taking on if we are not advancing our Māori women? Because I do not hesitate to state that within traditional Māori culture, Māori women were leaders and they held positions of title and they held land and they were, extremely influential. And so they were advocated by their people to hold those positions. And so if in the legal fraternity, in a Māori legal fraternity, if we are not advancing our Māori women into roles like being judges or being the owners of legal practices, then and if we're not creating paths for positive career development into partnership, then whose cultural paradigms are we as a Māori legal fraternity taking on? Yep. So I put that question to our fraternity last year, and what came out of it was very positive. So we started a movement basically amongst the Māori women within the Māori legal fraternity, and there have been significant advances since then. And so watch out.
Yeah, and I've heard a bit. You were in Waitangi, weren't you?
Yes, we were.
Yeah, so the movement has started because I've heard about it.
And it's great. It's been led by some young Māori women, including Uru Tapu, who is just she is just incredible. But we also have the support of our Māori female judges, and we also have the likes of Kiri Mahutariki, who is also spearheading this. So it's great to be able to be a part of the genesis and then allow other people to pick it up with great passion and momentum and take it to a level to allow other people to take it up and take it to another level.
Absolutely. And the other shout out that I would have is for our Pacifica women is to really, whether it's boards, whether it's corporate career, whether it's philanthropy, whatever it is that we need to support each other to go through these pathways, and if we can, let's do it together. Let's do it as collective.
Kia ora, tautoko tēnā kōrero, support your words.
So on that note, my amazing, beautiful friend, Tino Tāhua tō kōrero. It's been a wonderful exchange and weaving of our whakaaro, our thoughts, about wahine, about women, and I look forward to continuing that conversation with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Always.
So you go off and have an amazing weekend, and with the camping, hopefully that goes well. And I'm looking out the window, and it's a little bit of rain, but kei te pai, by this afternoon you'll be fine.
I'm sure it will come up roses for us. It's a friend's birthday, and we're going down towards Miranda, going camping at a friend's land at Waimango, and it's beautiful there.
Beautiful.
So we're really excited about, walking around with bare feet and just letting our daughter run around in the environment.
Yeah. Rain or not, it'll be an amazing, amazing weekend, I'm sure.
That's
okay, my friend, ka kite anō?
Ai ngā mihi nui ki a koe, Rachel, mō tēnei kauinga I tēnei kaupapa. So thank you for lifting this kaupapa, taking it to the world, taking it globally. Ngā mihi nui ki a koe mō tō mahi, tino puku mahi. Thank you for your persistent perseverance, your amazing work.
Oh, kia ora. Ka kite.
E kona.